You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to.
After an epic pump to nearly $50,000 on some exchanges, today we are seeing a correction. And yes, even in a bull market, there are going to be red days. On days like this, I find it very important to focus more on the fundamentals and look at what's going well for Bitcoin. What do we got going for us, and try to, not be so distracted by these red charts. Because as we know, in the grand scheme of things, days like this really don't matter at all. An interesting article that just came out from Markets Insider showing quotes from 5 top crypto experts talking about the momentous record-setting rally above 50,000. And if we scroll down, we can see that the first person who's quoted here in this article is none other than Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink. And what he said was, with Bitcoin's breaking 50,000 a coin, I believe we're reaching an inflection point where Bitcoin is essentially becoming the reserve currency of the internet. And that statement alone is such an interesting statement, that Bitcoin is becoming the reserve currency of the internet. And it's kind of true. I mean, what's the one currency we all know about that can be used on the internet worldwide? Of course, Bitcoin. And I agree with him. It's basically the reserve currency of the internet at this point. And then he also said, with the world's richest man putting Bitcoin on Tesla's balance sheet, I think that institutions will have much more publicly acceptable justification to allocate to Bitcoin. And that's what we discussed in one of my previous videos, that basically Tesla changed the game. It put Bitcoin into a new era where if there was any question about whether Bitcoin was legitimate or not, well, now that Tesla bought, Bitcoin is pretty much fully legitimate at this point. And this statement is completely true, because what followed since Tesla bought was actually this report that came out 2 days ago, and that is Morgan Stanley may be betting on Bitcoin with a firm that's worth $150 billion. Counterpoint Global is a unit of Morgan Stanley's investment management, and they say they are exploring whether cryptocurrency would be a sustainable option for its investors, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Now, in this article, they do mention that there are some people from Morgan Stanley that are still very skeptical of Bitcoin, and that their review could ultimately result in Morgan Stanley staying out of Bitcoin. And apparently, much of the skepticism centers on Bitcoin's unpredictable price swings, which I think is hilarious, because it just goes to show you that these guys don't have control of Bitcoin. They're not really comfortable getting into Bitcoin. They have huge control over the stock market, and they have their hand in Washington, and they can, they have all kinds of strings to pull for the stock market. But for Bitcoin, they're a little bit hesitant because they're not totally sure what to think. They don't have control over it. And I think that is so funny, which basically means that these guys are going to have to be FOMOing into Bitcoin at much higher prices at some point. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We know that there's a lot of institutions, not just Morgan Stanley, tons of institutions are now looking at Bitcoin because of Tesla's purchase. And like Sergey Nazarov said, Tesla adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet is making it much more publicly acceptable to allocate to Bitcoin. So I think over time, people are going to warm up to it. And Bitcoin is already the reserve asset of the internet, but it's only a matter of time before it becomes a global reserve currency. And as I'm making this video right now, the market cap of crypto is 1.5 trillion US dollars. And this number is rapidly increasing. And like I said in one of my previous videos, I think that the total crypto market cap does have the potential to reach 8 to 10 trillion if Bitcoin follows my prediction. And the market cap of Bitcoin right now is less than $100 billion away from hitting 1 trillion US dollars. And if Bitcoin does go up another 400% to test 250,000 for a brief period of time, the market cap of Bitcoin could be close to 4 trillion US dollars. And if Bitcoin dominance at that time is 50%, that would mean an $8 trillion market cap for crypto at the peak of this bull market. And this is still what I'm expecting for Bitcoin, despite what may happen in the short term. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm still expecting Bitcoin to run up towards roughly 70K or so, just as an estimate based on the last cycle here, before pulling back to, maybe 50K and then running up again. And on the daily chart for Bitcoin, we are sustaining the 70 level on the RSI, which is a pretty good sign, pretty good thing to see here that we're sustaining 70 on the daily RSI. When we initially broke out and created our first parabolic run up towards the 20K level, that 70 level was our parabolic support on the RSI. We never went below 70, at least not much. And currently we're in a similar position. So as long as we're holding above 70, I think that Bitcoin's price can continue to run up. If we start to fall below 70, then maybe that does indicate that we might have a possible short-term correction back to that 42K level before then seeing a rally once again. But in times like this, it's very important to understand that the fundamentals are really the more important thing. The technicals can be a bit skewed when you have this much demand for Bitcoin after that Tesla news. It's actually, in my opinion, more important to focus on the fundamentals right now and how much incoming demand we have for Bitcoin. So even if there's a short-term dip, I don't think it'll be very long-lived. I think it'll be a short-lived dip before a continued rally. And looking at Ethereum on the 4-hour chart, things still look pretty good. We have this upward sloping trend line going for us. We're still maintaining it. As long as we're holding it, bouncing off of it, I do think that we could test up towards the 2K level sooner rather than later. And of course, if we break down, then that could send us back towards 1500. Maybe, right, if we do see a breakdown. But all in all, from a long-term perspective, any move like that, it barely even shows up on the radar, right? And you guys know I'm long-term focused, so this kind of stuff doesn't even show up on my radar. I know that, long-term, we're good to go. Whatever happens in the short term, it doesn't matter. Long term, we're good to go, in my opinion. But the most exciting part to me about this is that, anything below 50,000 US dollars for Bitcoin is within the growth zone, meaning that once we get above $50,000, like the last cycle here, 3K, the bear market low was 3,100, which means that right now we're still in the area of maximum opportunity, and that when the bear market happens, we may not actually go below 50,000. So we're still within a really good area of opportunity right now, at least for the next 6 months or so. But we'll see how everything plays out. I hope you guys found this video interesting. Hope you found it helpful. Definitely smash up that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you're new, and be sure to sign up with the Cryptowatch platform, which is this platform. You can use the stock to flow model yourself by signing up, going to the analysis drop-down tab and clicking on stock to flow right there. And also remember, we have the limited time offer here for Patreon. You have 15 days left to join at $35 a month. I post new altcoin picks all the time. I actually posted one yesterday. And of course, today the market is down, but I've been making hundreds of % gains on a lot of these altcoins recently. So if you guys want to see what altcoins I'm getting into, definitely join the Patreon. Sign up today. Lock in your spot now. And I'll see you guys in the next video.